Welcome to Eye on the Illini Halftime Live. Ked, I'll tell you what, the key stat in this game to my eye was two penalties for 25 yards. Those two penalties brought drives to an end. Boy, it looks like if you want to have your conspiracy theory that you're trying to keep games close, those two penalties couldn't be any worse timing for the Illini. And J.C. Davis, I don't know how you even call that a hold. Maybe you pushed him down, but I thought in football you could push guys down. But it is what it is. Your thoughts to lead off here?
My thoughts, my concern is Wisconsin's defensive front. They have dictated this entire game, how this game has gone, and how it's going to continue to be played. You just heard Brett Bielema talk about Wisconsin's number 22, the pressure that he's bringing. There was a missed block by Caden Fagan on the last drive. You have to protect Luke. I knew going into this game, and Wisconsin's not going to light the scoreboard up, but they're really good defensively. We know how good Indiana is on offense, and it was one of Indiana's lowest scoring game, and they didn't put up a lot of yards against them. You can't make mistakes, and the offensive line is just there. It's not there, but I don't have to repeat myself and guess. They knew how good Wisconsin's defensive front was. You have to be able to block, and I don't want to see this, and I don't know, maybe the listeners can disagree or give me something different. I don't want to see them run the ball up against the middle. Their defensive front is too good. And it's not just against Illinois. The little pitch out they had to Valentine was effective. You're not going to run the ball effectively and think you're going to get 100 yards against Wisconsin. No, you can't throw it the entire time. I understand it. And I agree with, Mongolian Umpire 44. Let Caden Fagan run the ball a little bit. I mean, and you know what? They've only given up 7 points. But you cannot expect Luke Allmeyer, Mike, to run the ball the rest of this game like this, or he's going to get hurt.
Yeah, that was a brutal first half. At the same time, Illinois is down 10-7, and they actually are up in yards, 157 to 125. But boy, Jonathan, it looks like there's a lot of the offensive line is unable to get any movement on Wisconsin, particularly up the middle. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping you can hear me. I apologize for kind of being mobile here. Give me just one second. Well, the biggest thing that seems to be, that big time-sucking drive that Wisconsin was able to capitalize on in the first half, I think didn't really allow Illinois to get in any kind of rhythm. But when they did have the ball, boy, it seemed kind of like a little bit like a jailbreak at times for them to be able to get in any kind of rhythm moving the ball. I'm not sure what the consensus was on your guys' end, but I don't think they had the ball enough to really get in much consistency.
Yeah, well, right now we're seeing everybody wants to fire Aaron Henry, and I tend to look at this a little bit less blaming Aaron Henry, and I'd like to see the Illinois offense. One of the things that Lance Allen, our Wisconsin insider, told us on Eye on the Illini was if Illinois gets to 21 points, they'll probably win the game because Wisconsin doesn't usually score 21 points. And I think Illinois got to score. And the problem that I have right now is 2 drives ended in penalties. I didn't see the replay on Russ. Maybe he did an offensive pass interference. I'm not denying that. But I could tell you that JC's call was weak at best. But Illinois have to avoid having empty drives. I just think that's the whole key here. In the start of the second half, when Wisconsin gets the ball, Illinois has to stop them, and they have to score, and then have it, impose their will offensively. I think this Wisconsin team is too weak offensively to take up this opportunity and pee it down the toilet because you can't score at all.
Offensive line needs – I'm looking at the comments. They're right. Step up. You have to block.
Yeah.
You have to block. You have to open up holes. And if you're going to allow Wisconsin to be this aggressive, and I'll tell you, it's tough. It's a tough situation for Luke. I mean, I think there was one time I think he missed Hank Beatty, and he ended up, rushing and throwing it. He took the first option and didn't look for the second option. But I know, and I was actually concerned. I don't know if you guys saw it. After the first drive, he went to the bench, grabbing his knee, and that's my concern. With this defense. And I can assure you, if Illinois doesn't make adjustments in the second half, Wisconsin is going to continue to pressure him. And whether the running backs can't block, they better get the ball out in the flat quick, or if they're going to run it, like we mentioned, they better pitch it out and get on the edge, because those edges are coming to Luke every single time. And to me, the way I look at it, if they even going to have a chance to score 21 points, Mike, that offensive line better figure out how to stop Wisconsin's defensive front, because they're athletic and they're good. And again, it's not just against Illinois.
Time of possession is Illinois is at 15:02. Wisconsin's 14:58. Illinois wins the total yards 157 to 125. Passing yards, Illinois 116, Wisconsin 65. Rushing yards, Illinois 41, Wisconsin 60. Penalties 2 for 25. Each of those were critical for Illinois, compared to 1 for 5 for Wisconsin. 10 first downs, Illinois, 8 Wisconsin. Total plays 29 Illinois, 27 Wisconsin. And basically, the difference is you've just got to get to the point where Luke can actually, because he's been sacked 3 times, but he doesn't even have time to set on a lot of these plays. Jonathan, any thoughts on kind of, you played offensive line under some of the toughest conditions. What do these guys got to do when they get into the halftime? What do they got to do to figure out, especially going up the middle here?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen Luke throw the ball so many, he's almost kind of like Jeff George. He's back there. He's got a great release, but he's throwing the ball so quickly because he has to, and he's throwing a lot of these sidearm passes, and a couple of them, they've been tipped up in the air. You've had one pick, I believe, really close to having a couple others. Thank God they've had the ability to kind of get him out to run on his own, because it's kind of like you said, it's been a jailbreak when he's been a Houdini getting out of a couple of those, and you talked about, he threw a couple passes, one of which he really got him out of a jam. They call the penalty on the other one, which I think we all agree was kind of a phantom call. It'd be nice for them to start this third quarter and be able to line up and just move the ball. I've watched enough of Wisconsin. You got to be careful about a team like this, because it's their senior night. They're not going to a bowl. It's their bowl game. It's a night game, even though the crowd's not jam-packed. It's a loud crowd. They got a lot of pride there. They can't allow this crowd and this team to gain momentum. Yet this Wisconsin team has shown progress. I watched when they lost to Oregon. They ran the ball very, very good against Oregon. They beat Washington. There's a lot on the line from their standpoint in terms of pride. If Illinois doesn't get their act together offensively and march down the field and score, you're opening it up for an outcome that is not what any of us want.
Yeah, I just think you've got a team here that you've got to figure out a way. They had some advantages by going off tackle. I think you're just gonna. I love the quick pitch. It makes me wonder back to the 80s. We used to have plays we would run where we were taught, like literally out of the snap as a quarterback, I could get the ball on a pitch, especially to the left. super quick. And I thought that the way they got the ball out to Valentine that play, he was hitting the line before the line had even had a chance to read anything. And I just think somehow you've got to get something going on the ground just a bit. And the other thing I'm a little bit worried about, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when Luke is having to throw the ball over the top of these rushers, they are doing a great job of keeping their hands up, and they've tipped a few passes, and I'm really worried there might be another tip pass interception. There was one that he was throwing in the flat that got knocked down that I think had it made it out to the flat, might have been a pick six because he'd have had to throw it so high to get it over the outstretched hands of the defender.
That's what Jonathan was mentioning, Mike, earlier. I agree with both of you. I mean, he's dodged a couple of bullets. I mean, because, the momentum is, could change in a heartbeat because it's not going to be a high-scoring game. They need to come out here and they need to get a stop, get off the field in third downs. I think that's what frustrated a lot of people when you asked about what was frustrating with Aaron Henry. They saw the third down. I don't remember. I guess I can look and see. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Wisconsin had the ball for at least 9 or 10 minutes in that first quarter.
Well, and
that's what you can't do.
After the first drive, I think the defense settled down quite a bit.
I agree. And they've gotten lucky because Wisconsin offense is so bad and they 4th and 1 and they didn't go for it. I'm telling you what, if you're playing a good team, like if they play Northwestern next week in this fourth, they're going to go for it. Wisconsin's down to the 4th-string quarterback, so I don't blame them for punting. And in the fourth quarter, that might change. If if the game is 10-10 or 13-10 or whatever the case may be, that may change. Dan James has mentioned here lack of turnovers. I don't know the last time they've had an interception. I really don't. I don't know the last time they had a fumble recovery. They're not doing a really good job of creating turnovers. I think they're just doing this bend don't break defense. But on the flip side of it, guys, we can really complain, but they only have 10 points.
Yeah, the challenge is will Illinois get that interior offensive line and to be able to allow the runs up the middle, and then the other thing is will they be able to protect Altmaier? I almost feel like he's one of those guys in the middle of like The Exorcist, and he needs somebody to protect him from all the demons coming at him. So I think there's some concern there, and I don't know if Khalil Valentine, I'm a huge fan of his, but I don't know if I advise running him straight up the middle into the teeth of this massive defensive line.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah. Defensively, Gabe Yakus, we saw a play where he should have, if you're going to call holding penalties on J.C. Davis like that, there was at least 2 that Gabe got taken down on. But again, if you want to go the conspiracy theory that the refs want to keep it close early, that the some of the holding calls, not holding calls, are perfect for that. But I think that's pretty much any football game.
Yes, that's true. And and like I said to you, nobody's happy right now because you're losing to a 3-7 football team. And I think Jonathan's right. Johnny's right. We got to give the Wisconsin credit. It's senior night. Illinois is going to be different when Northwestern comes to town. Yes, and long as you let them hang around and think that they have a chance, that's when it could go bad. And Wisconsin's not going to. I would be surprised to say never. I don't want to make myself look stupid, but I don't see them putting up 24 points. I don't think they're good enough to do it. My concern is the line and Wisconsin's defensive front. That's whoever wins that battle, I think, is going to win the game.
Any final thoughts from you, Jonathan?
I think the very first possession of the third quarter is going to be key. I think Wisconsin, that 10-minute drive that they had in the first quarter was really kept alive with their quarterback's legs.
Yep.
Their offense is very limited in terms of their downfield passing game. You'd like to take faith in the fact that the coaching staff can, eliminate their play calling in the second half and account for the quarterback. Biggest thing, I think you have to establish the line of scrimmage. You have to establish a legitimate running game, which they haven't shown yet. If you can do that, and make halftime adjustments against their offense, which again, if you've watched Wisconsin at all this year, it's not an efficient offense whatsoever. If you can make the adjustments defensively, establish the line of scrimmage, and get a running game where you don't have Luke making third down throws out of his what, that's what's going to have to happen. But I was telling people at work, this was a terrible opportunity game. This is a terrible game from an Illinois standpoint, because Wisconsin's not going to a bowl game. This is their bowl game. It's night. The fans will be very hyped up,
Hooked,
to say the least. And they got to get the win and get the hell out of there.
And Jonathan, Brett Bielema, a coach there. I know they can say it doesn't matter, but I know it's in the back of their minds.
Yeah,
well, and
yes,
of course it does. Yeah, and the other thing I keep thinking is we've seen Illinois. Brett Bielema knows how to win these games, and I think that's why we're so concerned, because we've seen Illinois slog up teams better than them and manage to get a victory. We saw that last year 5 times, and 5 one score wins. And this one makes me a little nervous because I see Wisconsin doing to Illinois what Illinois has done to other teams. And I just I think you've got to figure out a way on offense. You've got to figure out a way. And I thought this team with 4 out of 5 offensive line starters, I just didn't expect them to be struggling offensive line wise this late into the season. Although in fairness, this Wisconsin defensive line is very good, and it's been largely let down by the rest of the team.
That's a fair assessment.
This Wisconsin's team, say what you want about them in terms of offensive utility. There's a lot of pride on their defensive line. Their head coach, the best part of this team is their defense.
Yep. If
you've watched any part of during the year, whether it's Wisconsin or whether it's Washington or Oregon, they've lost. They don't score, but they haven't given up a lot of points either. So let's give a little credit to this Wisconsin's defensive front. But yeah, we got to show some ability to move the ball traditionally, get some first downs without having to go third down and long and make a miracle pass, miracle catch. Let's get the hell out of there and win.
Yeah, I agree, because nobody cares. This is the part that I've learned over the years. Nobody remembers that win was by 1 point. They just remember that you got the W. That's all they care about when it comes down to it. And,
get out.
And yes, I Ken brings up a good point as we're trying to wrap here, but yeah, the makeable field goal. I'm not going to get too hard on David Alano. He's one of the best kickers in the conference, and human beings do miss things. And that shank punt was by Crimmins. That was a shocker to me, because he's a very good punter. We had 2 plays in the same quarter by 2 very good players, and they weren't good. Hopefully they'll both have an opportunity to make up for it, and we'll do so in the second half.
Yes, make adjustments. The team that makes adjustments, and like Jonathan mentioned, to win the line of scrimmage, and you want to take the fans out of it. Don't give them any hope. Get off the field and come down on your next possession and score.
Now, if they want to take the fans out of it, they should start enforcing a no drinks after halftime. That'll help slow down the fans up in Wisconsin a little bit. So, folks, they're just about ready to kick it off. Now, we will be back, but remember, we will be on the STL Sports Central YouTube feed, and then we'll also be on our X feeds. So please, right after the game, you can get on. There's going to be a bunch of us talking. Hopefully, we'll be talking. We won't be crying. But we will be back at the end of the game. Until then, folks, go Illini.